I also, while planning, we kind of screwed up. There is a big event in India going on. It's called Raksha Bandhan. I didn't realize it was today, so maybe that's might cause some people. I still appreciate people who join from India. Well, I can see that you guys truly care about this stuff. So let me share my screen here a little bit. Can you guys all hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, cool, awesome, sweet. Thanks, Precious. All right. Um, all right, so can you guys see my screen also? Yes, all right. So it will be pretty hands-on exercise or presentation on prompt engineering. Especially I care about this topic because but our mission with Tublian is obviously building developers for tomorrow. And we are specifically invested on exploring technology that is shaping the future of software development of tomorrow. So prompt engineering is one of this. This is not something that is cool and interesting to kind of play with. I feel like prompt engineering is something that we all engineers needs to know very well. Because one of the thing, I don't know whether Precious you can add people in because time to time I have to switch here. Okay, because I feel one of the fundamental thing it allows us to do as an emerging devs, like Precious said, we don't call ourselves junior devs. We might not have years of professional experience, but that necessarily doesn't mean we can't bring creativity and skills. That's why we like emerging devs. So speaking of emerging devs, I feel like prompt engineering is one of those skills that you developers, we all should have, because it enables us to do a couple of things. And I will try to demonstrate that throughout my presentation. One is to help us become a better developer. Because imagine this AI with all the years of experience and knowledge out there. This is the most powerful tool ever built, is right on your fingertips. If you have a question about design patterns, you have a question about how to solve that problem, you have a question about architecture, you have a question about how to fix that problem, all this knowledge is accumulated somewhere. And you can using prompt engineering, you can tap into that knowledge and extract that knowledge. So it's a very, very powerful tool. The second thing it does, which I think is very important, which is speed. One thing everybody cares about, nobody ever gonna tell you that I don't want my project to be delivered faster. Take all the time in the world you need. Nobody's gonna tell you that. Everybody's gonna tell you that, can you deliver this to me as soon as possible? So one of the things that prompt engineering does and AI does and Copilot does is it gives you that speed. So it's a very, very important skills to have. That's why we are talking about this. Please ask lots of questions. I have only a handful of slides. Then we'll go to ChatGPT. We're going to use ChatGPT mainly for this presentation, but some of the stuff that I'm going to show you will be applicable to any AI tools out there. So my introduction is, my name is Nilanjan Nraychaudhuri. You can call me Neil. I'm the founder of a platform called Tublian. You probably have heard about it. So this is some of the things that we do. We focus on, and the mission of Tublian is essentially, like I said, building developers for tomorrow. So one of the things that I'm gonna immediately come out and say, because that's probably one of the most common question I get. Will, as a software developers, will we have a job in future? Okay, is AI going to take our jobs? This is always, I get this question because, hey, I'm in a business of building a platform for software developers. If software developers not going to be around, what we going to do with this product? So the short answer is no. In fact, I would argue that this is the best time to become a software engineer and software developer. The reason being is I have a very optimistic view of the future. The AI being this horizontal disruptive innovation and technology is not changing the way we build software, it's changing the way we do business. So it's touching every possible industries out there. So in my view, What I feel like is that more things will get automated using software. That means more software will be written. If more software is written, we're going to need more software developers. So even I argue that in future, we're going to have a huge demand of software engineers. It's true that the way we do things right now going to drastically change, but we're still not going to need software engineer. So I want to throw it out there right there to answer any confusion, any doubt you guys have. All right, so in a nutshell, the prompt engineering feels like this. Sometimes it feels like a command line tool that you go in and type in your question, almost like a terminal, right? You type in your command and you get the results back, something like this. Other times, sometimes it's going to feel like that you're talking to an intern. I know most of you are emerging devs, but imagine you're even talking to somebody who's just starting to learn programming. So it's going to feel like you're working with an intern. So you might have to spend minutes explaining what you want that AI to achieve, walk the AI through a process, learning process. I'm going to show you some of the examples of that. But in a nutshell, prompt engineering feels like this. Now, prompt engineering might not necessarily always going to be like firing commands at ChatGPT. It might be like you are on your VS Code editor, writing code. Then I'm getting a bunch of prompts in here. Let me check what's happening.
Yeah, so sorry about that. I think a lot of people are in the waiting room, trying to join the meeting. So I don't know. Is
Okay.
there a way for you to give me the right
Yeah, I
to add
don't
them?
know, dude. I don't
I
know.
don't know
Uh,
why.
we should figure that out. I added all of them. Welcome, everyone. Sorry, we already started the meeting.
Yeah, so if I can get the prompt to accept them into the call, then I can, do that so you can focus on the meeting.
Let me give me 1 second. Let me find you here, and let me make you add as co-host.
Yeah. All right. All
All
right.
right, cool, cool.
Yeah, this should work. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, yeah. So this is just a first slide. So you guys didn't miss whoever joined just now. All right. So yeah. So sometimes a prompt engineer doesn't necessarily going to feel like that you're firing stuff at ChatGPT. Sometimes it's going to be in a VS Code using GitHub Copilot, and you're instructing GitHub Copilot to do certain things for you. I use TabMine as my Copilot, so I write my prompt as a command, and it generates code for me, something like that. So the agenda of this presentation is that I'm going to kind of unpack a little bit what do I mean by prompt engineering. Lots of people argue that we should not even call this an engineering, but we'll talk about that. Then I'm going to teach you, it's probably the most important piece of this presentation is, Precious, can you accept them?
Yes, I can.
Uh,
Yes, I can.
okay, cool, awesome. So I'm going to also, sorry, I'm going to also talk about principles and technique. These are some of the things that that you can use right away today after we are done with this presentation. Then we might talk a little bit about large language models. I heard lots of people are excited about AI and Python. Most of you probably are already aware of this. Then we're going to go to the most fun part, which is the iterative prompt development. This is where I'm going to demonstrate, I'll try to, and this is unscripted. We'll know where we will take this today, okay? But this is going to feel like I'm going to use AI as my pair partner while I'm building a application. So I'm going to be bouncing ideas with AI, getting feedback from the AI, because that's what I feel like going to become the future of software development, the way we build software. So I'm going to give you some glimpse of that a little bit. All right, any questions so far? All right. Okay. So some of the terms that we're going to clarify a little bit, because I see lots of people use them interchangeably, but they're kind of different. So you probably heard this topic called, this is umbrella term. Generative AI is the big umbrella term that encapsulates everything that we're going to talk about. So generative AI is this new paradigm that we've been working with, which is essentially generating new content. Okay, and this content we are used to now. So for an example, you are you're asking a question to ChatGPT. ChatGPT provides you a response, a textual response. So that's an application of generative AI. But it doesn't have to be text, right? This AI scan, you probably have seen, there was a viral video a couple of months back, maybe last month, where somebody used generative audio to create a music video of a Drake, right? A DJ, that rapper. So you can do videos. There is amazing stuff happening with the videos now. And not only deepfakes, so you can have prompts now that generates a video. So imagine the world where you can take a blog, paste the blog to a tool, and that text will get translated to a video that is the sharing the concepts of that blog. So something like that. Images is obviously Midjourney is a great example. So lots of stuff happening there. Whereas LLM, which is another term you probably hear a lot these days, especially on Twitter, and lots of people talking about this, is large language model. This is what we're going to be generally focusing on today. It's a type of AI algorithm, which is a deep learning, which is also a pattern. So AI, machine learning has lots of, we're not going to deep dive into machine learning, but one of the pattern used in machine learning is called deep learning, right? I think it's pioneered by Google back in days. So the idea is that a large language model is nothing but a type of machine learning which uses a massive data set. So for an example, a ChatGPT, as you probably know already, is trained on entire internet, right? So more data is better. Then what it does is that you have digested all this, ingested all this data, and it kind of, that's the power comes of LLM. It now can identify patterns. It's amazing how much we have patterns in the way we do things. It's kind of fascinating looking at LLM. So it can recognize the patterns, and using that patterns, it can predict the content for you. So for an example, when you say Paris, if you type in Paris, so someone was here from Paris. So it has mined all the data, so it can predict saying the next logical word probably going to be France. So that's how essentially, in a nutshell, it does. GPT, on the other hand, is a type of a generative pre-trained transformer. This is the architecture. So when we say, I heard somebody say React and some of your JavaScript, you know how we say, okay, we have a model, we have a front end, we have middleware, we have a back end. That's kind of like a three-tier architecture, right? So GPT is that kind of an architecture, okay? It's a type of neural net that uses, this is the architecture that OpenAI used to build their large language model. That's why we call them GPT. Okay, GPT is not specific to OpenAI. Anyone can use GPT architecture to build large language models. Funny enough, there was one individual paper. Some of you might be very interested in research. So if you are into it, and if you have this weekend, this would be an excellent weekend read for you, is that famous paper called Attention is All You Need. That is the research paper that started this revolution. Okay. Any questions so far? Oh, cool. I'm not seeing the screen, Precious. If there is any question, let me know, okay? All right, prompt engineering is a new discipline, okay? So we talked about this large language models, right? So large language models has an interface. That interface expects a certain way of interaction. So think of prompt engineering almost like an API for LLMs. Okay, you know how we use API to use framework, third-party frameworks, right? So prompt engineering is an API for large language models. What it does is that it allows us to give that power to effectively utilize this model. So for an example, if you want to build an application in React, you have to know how React works, right? To actually build the right application on top of that. Similar idea. If you really want to use the power of this large language models, you have to get really good at prompt engineering. So it helps us to utilize their capability and also understands the limitations of those models. So every prompt has a, okay, before I jump into that, I'm assuming everyone in this call has at least used ChatGPT some point of time. Is that true? Is there anyone who hasn't used ChatGPT? Because I'm assuming lots of things here. Okay, cool. I was in a presentation last month. There was somebody who raised hand. No, I haven't seen ChatGPT before, so that kind of threw me off guard a little bit. But anyway, so the prompt has four sections, which is one is the specific instructions, like what you want to do, right? So the instruction could be here is a piece of code that, or here could be instruction could be I have two lists in Python. I want to merge them. Okay. So then what you specify some sort of context and background. So in this case, the background is the Python. I said Python, right? That immediately gives ChatGPT, the AI tool, a context. Okay, the programming language is Python. The input data in this case could be, I can provide now two lists to them. Like here is a list of integers, here's a list of strings. Go, okay? And then the output indicator could be, okay, by the way, just print the result for me. Or it could be, oh, by the way, generate the actual code that merges that instruction. Okay. So for an example, I did that some point here. Let me show my. Where are you? Okay, yeah, right here. So this is an example of what I did. Hey, generate a Python function that combines two dictionaries. Okay. Now in this case, if you unpack this prompt, this is an example of a prompt. Okay, where I give bit an instruction. I said I need to combine two dictionaries. I also give a context that this is Python. In this case, I didn't provide any output indicator. ChatGPT is smart enough to figure out, hey, this guy meant he probably wants to look at a Python code. Okay, then it goes into action. It actually provides way more details than I really cared about. There are multiple ways to march to collections, but what I cared about is this piece of code that I can probably copy and use it to solve my problem. Okay. All right, so we're gonna talk about two specific techniques in here. The first technique is write clear and specific instructions. Remember one thing, that ChatGPT really doesn't understand Python. Okay, it has no concept of what is Python, what is a programming, or even for that matter, it doesn't even know very well languages. What in a nutshell, the best model essentially predicts what's going to be the next possible character. What's the highest probability of the next possible character? That's what it does. Obviously, that base model itself is not very useful. So they have what they call this that reinforcement learning. So they had human elements. So there were people actually tweaking and training the model to get better. Okay. So always giving a right, clear, specific instruction helps. And this is one of the things that I've learned while interacting with ChatGPT is if you don't have a clear idea of what you are looking for, you're going to get very poor results. Okay. It's funny. This is one of the things that you should consider a takeaway from this presentation is all these years we've been instructed in our schools, colleges, and everywhere to know the answers, right? We've always been, don't come to me with the problems, come to me with solutions, right? Whenever you go to your manager or ask anybody, no, don't give me problems, solve this for me. And you see that in, sorry, I'm going to go into my soapbox a little bit. You see that in the interviews, people will ask you, can you tell me that API that does this? Like a most horrible way to do a technical interview, asking APIs and specific questions. It turns out, why do I need to bother about knowing all this? For an example, why should I learn about all the APIs? Because I can, to know what API to use is just one prompt away. I can go to ChatGPT and ChatGPT will immediately tell me. Or I can Google, I can go to Stack Overflow for the answer. Knowing the answers is not the big deal anymore. Okay, so that's the paradigm shift. What is big deal is asking the right question, framing what you're looking for, what is the exact problem we are trying to solve is going to be the most important skill you can have as a software developer. Because hey, if you want to write code to do something, I will demonstrate you. I can just prompt it and ChatGPT can generate the code for me. That's not the differentiator anymore. So anyway, so clear specific instructions is very important. The second thing we will learn about is that something we call model time to think. This is the most fascinating thing. This is where we're going to have tons of fun today, okay? Where ChatGPT is almost, think of this as a lazy intern, okay? It is optimized to be as lazy as possible. So when you give it any problem, it will try to find the shortest way to answer your question. And sometimes when it does that, it gives the wrong result. And this is something that you probably see on Twitter and LinkedIn and everywhere. Oh, look at ChatGPT. ChatGPT is so stupid, it's giving me wrong answers. But ultimately, it ties down to, again, you are not prompting it correctly. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate some of these examples here. Okay, cool. Okay, so the effective, so one of the things that you should always use is, so there are two ways to use this powerful tool, okay? One is through that ChatGPT interface, which we will demonstrate here. There's another way that we use, like Tublian uses heavily, which we use Chat GPT 3.5 and 4, is through API. Right, we can tap into the power of this generative model, this LLMs through APIs as well. When you give a bunch of text to GPT as a prompting, you can always have to be delimited with, so that it knows that here is my instruction and here is my text. Give you an example here real quick. Let me go to ChatGPT. Any questions so far?
No, no question for now.
Okay, cool. Just for the sake of time, I have saved some of this so that you don't have to see me typing. So I've logged into ChatGPT. I'm going to use GPT-4 as my model. I have the Plus account. Some of you might not have access to this, but since I have a Plus account, I have access to this. Is probably the most powerful tool they have. Okay. All right, here is my simple prompt here. So what I'm trying to do is that I am instructing the model, saying that your task is to generate short summary of the product review that I got from e-commerce site, okay? We're gonna stay with the product review theme a little bit. I'll show you some examples in and around that. So I got a product review on my site. I copy pasted the product review. I said, hey, summarize that for me. I don't have time to read all this review. Tell me what it's talking about. And by the way, the review is we delimited with triple quotes. This helps when you do prompting to immediately help that tool to identify, okay, this is the instruction, this is the input text, almost like passing a parameter to a function, okay? I'll click that and it will go do its work. So I did say that, hey, Atmos 30 was, so the reviewer brought a panda plush toy for their daughter's birthday. Both love its softness and cute design. However, they find it a bit small for the piece. Arrived early. So apparently the product arrived early, but product apparently was smaller than they expected. So that's a review. You can go into your developer. So I'm going to jump into directly to a bit complicated example here. So this one is a really good one. Let me paste this and I'll walk you through. This kind of stuff, guys, used to take a data science team to do it back in days. Okay, I'm not kidding when I say that. I've been around. I've been doing this stuff for a while. So this is like a sentiment analysis of this code is just a prompt away. It's kind of amazing. Okay, so here is one of the things that I'm doing here is assigning GPT a role, and you're going to see that a lot in terms of prompting when you having a so I'm using that as an helper and assistant, right? Whenever you use GPT, sometimes assign them a prompt. So for an example, if you are prepping for an interview, okay? So one of the things that you could do is that, hey, GPT, you are the interviewer, okay? You are a technical expert working in this company. You are interviewing me for, I'm just giving you a prompt, interviewing me for a React.js front-end engineer opening. Here is the job description. Please ask me some technical questions. Okay, you can draft a prompt like that. Then suddenly you're prepping for an interview using ChatGPT. It will ask you a question, you'll try to answer. It can validate the answer for you, all the good stuff, right? You don't have to get to a mentor. GPT can be your mentor. So that's what I'm doing essentially here. What I'm saying is that, hey, you are a customer service AI assistant. So customer service is immediately gives them the context. So GPT exactly knows, okay, what type of group of problems I'm trying to solve here. Your task is, then I'm giving instructions. More specific is better, clear is better. Your task is to send an email reply to the valid customer, okay? So given the customer email delimited by, so we got a customer email, a complaint email in our inbox. So we pasted that email here. Email is delimited by this. Generate a reply to thank you, the customer, for their review. Now, this is where it's a simple prompt. Now we are making it more interesting. Now we are asking, putting conditional branching in the prompt here. We are saying if the sentiment, so we are asking GPT to analyze that review, that email, that response we got from our customer, saying if it's a positive or neutral, thank them for their review. If the sentiment is negative, apologize and suggest that they contact the customer service. So we essentially build a workflow here. Again, we did is make sure to use the specific details from the review. This is also very interesting because sometimes these tools have what known as hallucination, right? It will make up stuff, okay? It will never say no. It will just make things up for you. So giving specific instructions, again, saying that don't do that. You don't have to make things up. Always use the content that's given to you. You'll get much better results. Write a concise, professional tone. Sign the email as an AI customer agent. So nice little prompt with the workflow. I pasted the description in here. So there was a complaint essentially on this. I will share all these prompts and links with you guys so that they can review them. Apologize for the inconvenience you experienced with the motor after a year of use, especially so customer have been using that product, this product stopped working. So it recognized that sentiment. It actually said that please don't hesitate to reach out to our customer service rep. That's exactly what I wanted to do. Any question before we move into some programming? Okay. Let me see if I can find that example of so here is a good example. So I'm trying to confuse GPT here, okay? So I said how to write 12,000, 1,200, 12 in number, okay? So 12,000, 1,200, 12 in number. So when I said that, it wrote this, which is obviously incorrect. So I said, shouldn't this be this? Apologize for confusion, you're right. How to write this, again, I asked, it made a mistake because again, going back to the idea, it's always taking a shortcut. Then what I did is I used this this prompting technique, is prompting hack, what is called giving model time to think. Then I said, no, don't do that. And there are many ways you can do that. When you give a problem to that, ask GPT to break down the problem into smaller pieces. That's exactly what we do, right? If your manager, your technical lead comes to you saying, here is a Jira ticket, go find that bug, go solve that problem. So wait a minute, what are the small tasks that we need to tackle, right? So breaking down our problems. So you can prompt that by saying, hey, think about it step by step. Now look what he's trying to do, GPT. Is saying, you're right, I apologize for previous mistake. Now it's kind of breaking down. So 12,000 is 12,000, 1,200 is 1,200,12. Then it's trying to add the number. Now it got the correct answer. Okay, so this is another interesting technique you have to use when you do prompt engineering. Ask me question. I mean, it can't be all clear. You guys have any challenges using prompt? Any interesting prompt you guys have used in the past? All right, so we saw some examples in here. So I give you, talked about this. Most of the stuff that we're going to be doing, I mean, interesting stuff with ChatGPT needs to use this technique, give model time to think. Because if you, for an example, if you are trying to use ChatGPT to help you with your coding exercises or solve your lead code algorithm challenges or hacker rank problems, one of the things you have to do is that sometimes if you just give them the problem and ask GPT to generate the code immediately, sometimes you're going to make mistake. So you have to give model time to think, ask model to kind of go through step by step and interact with you. That's a really good technique to have. All right, so we're going to dive into that more as we're going to try to build an entire web application just using prompting. I don't know how far we can take them, how well it will work, but we will try. And this process we're going to learn. But before we do that, I just going to kind of touch base a little bit some of the terms that you're probably going to be hearing a lot as you dive into this world. So we talked about large language models, input and how they process. But if you think about it, essentially, they all start with the best LLM, right? This is the model that's been trained on all the text giant pile corpus of data from entire internet and built on top of this. But this model is not that useful because what this model does is that looks at the probability. It just predicts the highest probability of the next possible character. But that's sometimes not what you're looking for. So what people usually do, true useful models, are instructions tuned. So for an example, OpenAI used hundreds of programmers to write code, and they use that code to train that model. So it's providing specific instructions. This instructions comes in two forms. There might be group of people training them, interacting with this model, fine-tuning some of those parameters that you hear, billion parameters, this parameter, that parameter, those are the parameters, hyperparameters. The next thing it does is that that reinforcement learning. So every time I'm interacting with GPT and I'm correcting its mistake, it's actually getting better. So the math problem that you saw that I asked them to add numbers, it failed. I swear, oh God, when I tried last week with the same problem, it gave me the right answer. Okay, it didn't fail. I didn't have to do that prompting juggling of go step by step. One shot prompting, it gave me the right answer. So that tells me that it's actually getting better. It's learning from its mistakes. So that's in this world is called reinforcement learning with human feedback. So anytime you use GPT, it asks for was the answer good or bad. It's actually using that to make that model better. Well, that's not the only player in the world, right? There are hundreds of models out there. Facebook came up with a new model called Llama that I'm really excited about to play with. It's an open source model because one of the fear I have with using some of the tools like that is that at one point we have to use our own model, right? We cannot. There are some set of data that I'll not be able to share with GPT and send it out, right? So but there are 100 models out there. So this is not a fad, okay? This is, there is another group of people think that AI is just a wave, it's gonna disappear. I don't think so. I think this is here to stay because every day I'm using these tools to solve real world problems for me. For an example, I'm horrible at regular expressions. ChatGPT is my way to go. There are things that I've done for Tublian platform, the features that I've built, I couldn't have imagined building them without a tool like this. So it's definitely here to stay. All right, so there is another term, and then we will go to the fun stuff. Now, the examples of the stuff that we are looking at that an LLM model that's really specialized in generating images, a model that specializes on Facebook have another model that's really specialized on identifying objects within an image, a model that generates an audio very well, are all an application of very narrow, right? This is a very domain specific. Like Llama code is specifically large language model designed to generate code. Okay, it's specifically meant for that. So those are called ANI. If this is another term you're probably going to hear, but there's another term that lots of people are afraid of, which is called AGI, right? This is the artificial general intelligence, right? This is the end goal. The goal here is that AGI is going to be like us humans, right? This is how we operate. It's just going to be artificial. So it will have ability like us. It will have creativity like us. It will have thought process. It will think like that. It will learn like that. I do believe we're going to get there eventually. We're not there yet, but I don't know when. Maybe it's 2 years, maybe it's 10 years, God knows. But we are getting close to that world where we're going to have lots of AGIs. Not only one, we're going to have multiple AGIs working with each other. Not the future like Terminator 2 Judgment Day future I'm predicting. Um, I'm, I'm, I'm very optimistic. Like I said, I think it's going to be great for our humanity, right? We're going to be doing amazing stuff with this kind of powerful tools. All right, if you don't have any more questions, then I can jump into some programming. How am I doing time-wise? Precious, am I good?
Yeah, you are. You still have like 20
Okay,
minutes.
cool. Oh, cool. All right. So the goal here is to use GPT. I always and it's all started with this idea of I want to see how far I can push this tool. If people keep saying that hey, it's going to take over my job, let's see, can it? So what we're going to do is that we're going to play with this a little bit. I'm going to show you an example, a couple of examples. So one example is, which is very unrealistic, but it's possible. It's called one-shot prompting. Another is iterative, which is going to feel very natural, where we're going to use ChatGPT as a true partner and interact with, work with, discuss with it to build an application. Okay. So example of an one prompt. I have a copy in here. Uh, all right, this is one prompt. Okay, so you probably haven't seen such a big prompt before. I'll just try to run it while it does, and I'll read through this. One giant prompt. This is called, in this world, called one-shot prompting. Okay, one prompt, I want entire thing to be done. What I'm trying to do is that I'm prompting ChatGPT to say, hey, create an application for me called S3 browser ngrok. So S3 is a file service in AWS. I'm assuming some of you probably have used as a so S3 people use S3 to store file system. Essentially, it's a cloud file system. I think that's the way to say it. Yeah, cloud file system. What you're trying to build is that we're trying to build a front end for that, almost like in Windows Explorer. I know some of you use or Finder Explorer, that will a front end for the S3 that we're using, which I can browse the file. That's what we're trying to do. So I'm saying, hey, it should contain a React front end. I'm asking it to use React to do it. Create a directory called front end, which will store all the React. Displays a file tree using Cronky. I'm actually also saying the specific npm packages it should use. So I'm asking it to say, hey, when you build a browser, use kind of a tree structure so that I can see the folders and files, almost like Windows Explorer, and allow users to download it. Then I'm giving specific instructions saying the front-end package JSON should take a 9000 port as an environment variable. I'm also saying there is a backend directory, contains an API endpoint, should run on 3000 port. Keep going. I'm also saying, hey, wait a minute, use the AWS SDK, but use the JavaScript version 3 for this, because sometimes ChatGPT doesn't know which version to use. Credential will be saved. Make sure you use the env file. All the code should use 4-space indentation. Okay. Now, when you do that, it goes into the action and is generating all the stuff that we need. It's using Express API. I think it's pretty much done inside the backend directory. So you have to copy. I think they're building a capability. I was surprised. It has, or some of the plugin does, that it can take all this, wrap it into a zip file so that you can just download and explode, and you're done. You have an application working. Any questions on this? Has anybody tried prompting like this before?
So yeah, I have a question. So you mean if you've gotten a reply, right?
Yeah,
Can you scroll down?
yeah.
So you mean if I take this reply and put in my VS Code and run the code, is going to give me the result like a browser, like an application?
Yeah, A
Okay.
working application. It's actually giving you the terminal commands right now to create the directory. So open your item, do front, create a front end, create a React app. Once you're done that, install all these packages that we mentioned. Then you go to backend, install all these packages that you need for backend. Here is your environment env variable with all the port numbers, bucket names, and everything. Here is the front end code that actually using the those libraries that we talked about, fetching the files, creating this file browser, and inside the source directory, this is your app React component, and here is your HTML file. Everything is here you need to do. It worked. I mean, I have tried this. I will share this again. You guys can go to Replit and create this application. You should be seeing working as long as you provided the correct access keys and regions here.
Oh, wow. I don't know. Can we try to build like something very simple, like maybe just a page? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe
We are not
just a
done yet.
calculator.
This
Oh,
is
okay, okay.
yeah. We're not done yet. This is what I was demonstrating to show that I cannot do this. I cannot think like this, everything at once. I built the nature of way we build software is incremental, right? We will build a hello world first, then we'll add a one button to see it's working, then we'll do this and do that. So another way to use this is what probably going to be more powerful for you is iterative prompt development, right? Not one shot. We're going to give multiple prompts to GPT to generate stuff. So here is what I want to do. I think is simple, but you guys let me know. Okay, this is where I need your help too. So let me share this first. Okay. What I want to do is I want to build, this is my goal, okay? I want to build a movie recommendation system, a simple JavaScript web app, okay? I'll come back to the workflow here. Here is my requirement. I'm going to use a third-party API called TMDB. TMDB is famous for movie database. Yeah, it has access to all the movies out there. It's a free open API that you can use to, if you're building a portfolio project, this would be a great place to go and explore. Okay, so then what I'm doing is that, again, what I'm trying to explain to you is that having a clear idea of what you want from prompt is very important. Remember, I mentioned that. So what I want to do is, let me take you to the Miro board. This is what I want to be. This is the app I want to build. We'll try to build. I don't know how far we can take this. We'll have a simple web page where we'll have a header where we'll call our awesome movie app or something. On the sidebar, we will have genres, movie genres. So we'll have action, comedy, romance, thriller, what have you. And when somebody clicks this sidebar, we will show all the movies related that's actually playing right now. If I click action, it should show all the action movies here. Okay, simple requirement. Kind of a simple working app. That's what I want to build here. That's my goal. So what I'm doing here is that I'm giving that a specific instruction. This is my prompt to start with. I didn't arrive to this day one. I iterated on this. I've learned as I was trying to this. This is a pattern that I'll share with you guys. Works relatively very well. So I'm giving, hey, use the data source as a TMDB. The preference should user preference. This is what I'm giving GPT an instruction to see. Okay, there will be a sidebar with all the common movie genres that we use to select filter the results. Okay, we'll select something, we'll go there. So movie recommendation algorithm, let's use the most popular movies and TV shows. I want that, I want to show only popular movies and TV shows. User interface, so the UI will be divided into 3 parts. The top header section will show the title of the application, like I said. Then there will be a left sidebar for user preference selection. It should show all the possible movie genres and date range. Date range is a bit complicated. We'll forget the date range for now. On the right, we should display all the movies with the movie poster, movie name, release date, and rating. Okay. Now, mind you, I have no idea how to use TMDB API. I haven't looked into that API. Till now, I don't know, okay? I'm assuming GPT knows, okay? We'll see how that goes. Functionality scope, allow users to rate movie, save the results to get detailed information. Technology stack, just to keep very things simple, I want this to be fully front-end app, so no back-end, no node stuff, and do it with just HTML and vanilla JavaScript. You all good? Does that make sense? Okay. So when I do that, the first reaction that always comes is that now generate code. This is the big mistake, right? Because when you're building a relatively bit complicated application like this, which almost feels like real world, I know there are some, have you ever done a requirement which is clear? There is no requirement called clear requirements, right? There is always going to be doubt and confusion. So what I'm asking GPT is that this is the instruction. Here is the workflow to follow. Ask me questions to clarify the requirements, okay? Write the pseudocode. This is the most important lesson I've learned while I'm playing with this. This changes the game, that improves the quality drastically. So what I'm saying is that don't generate the code immediately, generate the pseudocode, because this is exactly what we're gonna do as a developers, don't we? We write the high-level instructions, how that application flows before we write code, because that's a good practice. Check with me. Then generate the code. So I'm giving a specific instructions to do that. All right, so I'm going to copy this prompt in here. Please ask me questions if you have doubt. This, otherwise, there's not going to be fun. All right, so I'm gonna start. Any other requirements we should add? Any questions, confusion? Anything you want me to ask GPT to do? Do we have people listening, or yeah? Okay, we have some people. Okay, cool.
Yes,
okay, awesome. All right, so I'm gonna put it in here.
Bayo wanted to say something.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Oh, Bayo,
no,
you can
not
go.
at all. Just to confirm we are listening.
Oh, okay.
All right, ready to get blown away. You're gonna see the true power of GPT. I don't know whether you have taken the GPT at this level, but you're gonna some real interesting stuff here. Okay. So when you do, oh crap. All right, so when you do stuff like this, the way I tend to think about is that I almost pairing with somebody else. So one computer, two heads working together, right? Like my partner. So my project manager came to me that saying, hey, a customer is coming. We want to build a demo movie recommendation app, a AMC coming, a big client coming, right? Well, can you guys do a quick prototype for us? So I come in, instead of having a real pair partner, I'm using GPT as my pair partner. So I got a bit high level instructions how to build this. I took some of this ideas captured in this and asking now GPT to kind of have a conversation. So it's asking me clarifying questions. So let's try to answer those first. For the user rating, where should the rating be stored? I think that's a very valid question. I didn't specify. I said the user should be allowed to rate movies. Do you guys remember that? Functionality, users should rate the movies. So that's a good question. Given it's a fully fronted app, will it be in the browser like local storage? That kind of makes sense, right? Yeah, local storage kind of makes sense. When you say save the results, are you referring to the user preference, the movies they rate, or both? So I did mention that users should be allow users to rate the movies, save the results. So so that's why asking the question. Get detailed information. Should the information be displayed in a modal or a new page or some other way? So remember I said when somebody selects the movie on the left sidebar, are you guys still with me, right? Following, right? So if somebody selects a genre on the left sidebar, like action movies, I want to show the display on the right-hand side. So it's asking how should I display that information? So do you have any particular design or layout in mind, or is up to my discretion based on the requirement? Is there a limit on number of movies to display at once? I don't know about you, but looking at these questions, I'm already pretty impressed. So it's actually truly understood the requirement and asking a really, really valid follow-up questions. Okay. So I'm going to try to answer that. This is the first time ever happened to me. It actually generated the pseudocode directly. It's not supposed to not do that, but anyway, we'll see. So let's clarify. Clarify before you generate. Clarify a few things before you generate pseudocode. Okay. So what I typically do in cases like this, I try to keep the numbering same so that it know exactly what we are answering to. It would be awesome if they provide an API, a UI, I can answer right next to the question, but we are not there yet. So clarify local. I think local storage is fine. What do you guys think? We are all developers, right? Local storage is good. Okay, when you say save the result, are you referring to the user preference? Movies, they rate it, or both? User preferences for now. Get detailed information. Should this information displayed in a model or a new page or some other way? The detailed information, what I want is that if you look at this, my design here, what I truly want is that if somebody clicks an genre here, I want the movies to be displayed right in the main area. So that's what I want. So display the movie details in the main area. No model. Oh, get detailed information. No, sorry. Get detailed information. Okay. So we displayed the movies in here. Help me out, guys. So what we're saying is that when I click, I'm going to display. This is almost like this, right? We will display these movies on the main area. So when I click a movie, I want to get this movie details about that Indiana Jones. I want that movie details to pop up as a model. I think that makes sense. Display the movie details in a model box, model dialog. All right, 4. Do you have any particular design or layout in mind, or it is up to my discretion based on the requirement? Please use, what should we call it? Please use a top header. I think I mentioned it already. Sidebar and sidebar top header for the application title, sidebar for genres, and main area to display all the matching movies. Also use, do you guys have any favorite CSS tool or library you use to build web apps? Should I ask GPT to use Bootstrap or Tailwind? Which one? If you don't answer, I'm not going to write anything.
Tailwind is a bootstrap.
Tailwind, fine. Okay, yeah. Also, please. Sometimes I say please. I don't know. I don't know whether I have to be that polite, but I am. So please use Tailwind. Tailwind library for all CSS. 5. Is there a limit number of movie displayed? Display 10. Display 10 popular movies and TV shows. All right. Let's see. So it's so this step is the technique that I talked about. Give model time to think, right? I'm giving GPT, allowing GPT to kind of think through this. So it's writing the pseudocode for me just to make sure it understood correctly. So let's review that really quick. So initialize the app, set up HTML structure, Tailwind CSS, header. I'm gonna fight through this. Header has a title, sidebar has a genre selection, popular movies using TMDB API. Again, I don't know this API, but I know this is a very well-known API. I am assuming, I know for the fact, I don't want to pretend, I know GPT knows about this API very well, okay? I don't. Initially, local storage for saving user preferences, because that's what I clarified. When the app is loaded, the user selects the new genre, fetch the 10 popular movies. That's exactly what I said. On the right main area, these movies will have poster, name, date, rating. That's awesome. When user clicks the movie, fetch detailed information from the TMDB, display the information as model dialer. Beautiful. It actually understood. It's better than some programmers I interact with. User rates a movie, set the rating in local storage. That's also awesome. Allow users to view the saved rating. I don't know about that. When the user wants to see the detailed information about the movie, open the dialog box, display the movie by fetching the API. That's absolutely beautiful. Now, another thing I'm going to do is that I've already generated the API key. I'm going to specify that. This looks good. Please use this. Now, this is probably a very bad practice. You shouldn't do this. Share your API keys with ChatGPT. But this is just a demo. That's what I'm doing this. Please use team. Please use team DB. Please team API. Please use this team API. It's good. Now I'm ready to generate the code. Generate code. I don't know whether it will work. We will see. Please use the API. Now, one thing you guys are going to notice here immediately, it included the Tailwind CSS file. It's actually using some of the CSS property from Tailwind right off of the bat. While it does that, any question? I just asked you to build an interweb app, so it's going to take some time. Okay, so this is another important thing. So it actually, like I said, it actually knows the API. So it figured out there is an API endpoint called 3genre movie list by passing an API key, which fetches all the genres. So let's look at this right now here. So we got an HTML file. It's not done yet. Maybe we'll wait here. In the meantime, while it's doing, I'm going to use a tool called Replit. Have you guys ever used it? Replit.com. So it allows me to quickly deploy something. I want to see something running right now. So I'm going to create a REPL in here. I will say HTML CSS type REPL. I will say Tublian Masterclass. Granted, I'm in the free plan, so hopefully I will have enough resources, finger crossed, to play with this. I'll just have it launch. Okay, it's running, so that's great. I'm already close to the limit CPU usage, so I don't know. We'll see. Let's switch to ChatGPT. It feels like it says it's done doing this. So let's review this a little bit here before we paste the code. It got the Tailwind CSS in here. It created the movie recommendation system. There is a site main content area, so that's a flex. You guys probably know better than this. So there is a genre sidebar in here. Oh, a side. Okay, yeah, that's a sidebar. Then there's a main area. Then there is this this markup for the modal box in here. It just took the API key that I just pasted in there. That's great. So there is a function called fetch genres. There is a function called fetch movies by genre. I'm assuming this gets called when I click something. It just added event listeners for them. So when I click it, it just calls this show movie details, which is right here. But I don't see this getting called. Oh, this called here. Okay. If you guys give me permission, I will copy this code right now, and I will paste it in my REPL. and see what happens. Do I have to call it run? Okay, yeah, so here is my, here is the app that it generated. It looks kind of ugly, but we'll see. When I click this, okay, so when I click this, the movies, it took some time to load this. Let's do action. It loads up all the movies that we want. So as you can see, I haven't essentially wrote a single line of code to do that. I just saw this movie. I'm a big fan of her, by the way. So let's click this. There is my modal trying to pop up. Something happened. Oh, this is a modal, Heart of the Stone, right? The modal kind of looks ugly. We want to, all right, so I want to do lots of changes in here, but before we go that, any questions? Comments, anybody kind of surprised? Anybody has confusion? Anybody is like, holy shit, what is this?
I think we have a lot of wow in the comment section. We have a lot of people say wow.
Okay. Okay.
Maya said, I've read about it, but I've not used it. So we actually just see it.
So we can do lots of fun stuff in here. I'm going to be very respectful of time because I really like to get some questions. So let me do something if I can. I have done this before. Let me show you an example, and you have to believe me when I do this that I completely generated that. How can I go back? This was an in-person meetup, so I had lots of people. So we all kind of did kind of mob programming using REPL, which I realize is kind of hard to do it here. Let me do this. I'll try to open this up if it's possible. Can I show you a bit of end product could look like? This is what the end product could look like. I am assuming I can go and open this up in a browser. So we completely purely driven by prompting. We took this idea in further. So we used dark theme, all using Tailwind. We did rating submission, and when you click that, it loaded that properly. I can do submit rating in here. I actually said it's a 4-star, 5-star rating. It actually saved on the local storage. So we took this idea even further. So all kind of using prompting. Now, there are, I'm going to pause. I'm going to stop sharing a little bit. Okay. So there are obviously challenges with things like this, right? The code, I'm going to share this. The code it's written is probably not that great. Obviously, maybe look at that here real quick. Where are you? Okay. That, hey, I mean, I'll show you an example of that. API key right on the JavaScript file is probably not a good idea, but I explicitly prompted to do that, right? I generated the code that's inlining some of the HTML generation within the JavaScript is probably not a great idea. But again, I've asked it use vanilla JavaScript and HTML. I could actually, and one interesting thing you guys can do over the weekend is use the same prompting, but ask it to generate a React app for you. Then some of this abstracted gonna out, and it can do React app as well. One of the guy who attended this came back to me and said, I tried this with React app and it worked pretty well. So it's there, right? So this is the possibility. The goal of this exercise presentation was essentially to kind of open your mind a little bit in terms of possibilities. Now I do get at this point, somebody say, holy shit, it can generate React app for me. Could I learn React, right? But again, if you notice the way I was prompting, you almost have to be a developer to build this. You have to be a developer to build this. A non-developer cannot build this. Even though I didn't write a single line of code, I did prompt the way a developer will do. We did say it's use CSS. And to go here, you have to prompt it saying that, hey, the viewpoint should be here. The model should be 50%. You have to use dark layout. When you do React, do this. Don't call this API. Instead, call this API. That's a better. All this prompting, even if you're prompting them, you're not writing code, but you still need to have the technical background and the concepts. So I don't buy into this argument that a non-developer could do this. They will not be able to. Okay, so it's to demonstrate that we still have place. We're going to be coexisting for a while with this kind of tools. Then the question becomes for us to kind of reflect then what skills is more important for us to learn. Because one thing I'm pretty certain about is writing code is not a bottleneck anymore. Okay, like I said, it's just a prompt away. I can have a prompt do that for me. What is more important is that to asking question is what the right way to solve that problem. Is building the web app was the right solution for this? Or building this was the right solution? Should we be using that tool to solve that problem? All the things, all the decisions that we take as a developer, those things are becoming more and more critical. Because this is a ship, right? It is a very powerful ship, but somebody still have to steer it, right? To take it to the right direction, and that's you. Okay. So one thing I want to share with you guys, which is kind of exciting, if some of you got really excited about this, so we opened up a challenge. I haven't even talked to Precious about this, so it might be a surprise to him as well. What we have done is that if you have already access to Tublian, and I'm assuming some of you do, when you log into the dashboard, we opened up a challenge because I like to see you guys take this further. I do believe this is a very, very important skill for us to have. As an emerging dev, guys, this is for us to shortcut to become an experienced dev. I truly believe this is a shortcut. So to encourage you guys to do that, we created a challenge that we feel like not building Hello World, build something that we could use and useful. So we created a challenge in here. Once you log into tublian.com, you should be able to see it. Is that use prompting to build a Discord bot for us. Okay, I provided specific instructions in here as well. We have some price money. First price is going to be $100. Second price $75. Third price is $50. You have 2 weeks to do that. I specified specific instructions in here. I would love you guys to go through it. There are lots of useful resources in here, something that I don't cover. People have used this. I would encourage you to go through these resources as well. And always feel free to reach out on Discord if you have any question. But I think if you're a little bit excited about this, I would really, really encourage, not just because of the prize money, but I think it's going to be a tremendous, useful learning experience for you all. With that, I am done with my presentation. I will take any questions you guys have.
Oh, wow. Thank you very much, Neil. This is amazing. I've also been shouting wow on my own end. And we have a lot of wow in the comment section. So guys, if you really enjoyed this session, can you please use the reaction button, like give us your favorite reaction. Like I want to see reactions. Please, if you really enjoyed it, just give us some reactions, want to see them. All right. All right. I can see Miracle. I can see Rice Michael. I can see Amit. I can see Jadel. Who is crying? Someone is crying. Avi, you are crying. Oh, Avi, I think you joined late, but then it's fine. You can still get the recording. Silas, thank you. All right, guys. Yeah, there's a recording, Avi. We have a recording. It's going to be on YouTube. Hope you're already in the Discord channel because we're going to drop the link when we publish it. Yeah, so you're going to get the link on Discord. All right. So, guys, any question? Any question about this amazing session? So, if you have a question, you can just raise your hand. Okay, Discord link. I'm going to drop the Discord link very soon. I'm dropping the Discord link right now. Yeah. All right. So, any question? Any question at all? So, Neil, I have like a question. So, I want to know if there is like a limit to, you know, if there is like a limit to what we can be able to build using, is there a limit? Okay, so what if I want to build, for example, a complete e-commerce app? Is this something that can help us to get it done? So
Yeah,
can I use a GPT to build like a complete e-commerce app and deploy it?
yeah. I mean, I can ask GPT to generate all the GitHub action scripts for me, Terraform if I need to use it to deploy. E-commerce is solved problem. Yeah, totally. So remember, this tool is all about patterns, right? It knows if it has seen some of the applications like this, like movie recommendation app, there are probably hundreds of movie recommendation apps out there. So it actually knows exactly how to build this. Now, if
Oh,
you're building something completely new, then it will struggle, but it still has capabilities to help you out.
oh, all right. So I have another question, but Avi's hand is up, so we'd like Avi to go. So Avi, over to you. You can unmute your mic and ask your question.
Yeah, thank you. I'm very sure it was quite an amazing session because it's great, right? Because I missed it, but then I'm going to watch the recording. So I wanted to ask, I don't know if you mentioned it previously already, but I wanted to ask how you control situations where there are updates as to the programming languages, but then um you're using, but then when you prompt it, it gives you, say for instance, next 13 now, and then maybe there's some updates that they just added to it, and then you want to get code for building maybe something that has to do with working with client side and then server side. Um, how do we prompt it in a way that it knows to give us the latest versions of Next.js or whatever programming language that we're trying to use? I don't know if you get my question.
Yeah, I got it. So we did talk about that. Um, so here is an example of one-shot prompting where I'm asking it to generate an S3 bucket file browser. So look, one of the prompt I'm saying is that, hey, this backend will issue calls to S3 using AWS SDK for JavaScript v3. So you can specify the versions like that. You could also say, hey, generate this code, don't use the Next.js 2. If it knows about it. So if something Next.js released last month, GPT will not know about this because it's not trained on that data. But if it's something that generated 2 years back, I don't know when it's the last date it has the data. It usually tells you. Yeah, so I don't know. So that was 2021 or maybe. Yeah, if it knows, then it should be able to. You can, all you have to do is specify the specific version that you're looking for, like here. Does that answers your question?
Yeah, I think it does. I think the problem I was having is because I was using the low budget version, which is a 3.5, but which is limited to 2021. So hopefully when I upgrade to 4.0, I should get
Probably.
what I want. But yeah, you
Yeah.
answered the question. Thank you very
Okay.
much. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Any other
All right. Yeah.
comments?
So I have another question.
Yeah.
So um, are there rules to prompting? Are there things that you try to make sure that, oh, okay, in my prompts, these things are what must be included for, ChatGPT to give me like the right, answer? I know you mentioned something about you knowing what you want, knowing the answer, what you want to get out of
Yeah.
it before, yeah, you ask the question. Yeah, but then are there things that must be in your prompt? Because I know a lot of people said, oh, the prompt is long, the prompt is this, but are there specific things that you're looking out in your prompts to be able to get this kind of thing?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, a specific, clear, like going. I think we are getting into the world where the person who can ask the right question is going to be the most powerful person because answers are out there. You just have to find it, right? So being clear and specific, be specific is very important. Another thing, based on what you're trying to do, if that problem is complicated, like building a movie recommendation app, then it's always helps you to prompt it like I said, give model time to think, right? So kind of build a tiny workflow before you ask model to generate something. That workflow could be, here my workflow was clarify requirements, pseudocode, and generate code. For your problem, it could be something else. For an example, the other day I was using, this is getting recorded, right? Maybe I should not say this then. So as you can see, I've been using that for many things, right? So if I'm exploring a new idea, new concept, or new something that I want to present, for an example, some of the ideas of this presentations also be interacted with ChatGPT. I'm kind of putting myself, right? Hey, I have the idea of doing a presentation on ChatGPT. What should I talk about? Then it will ask you a bunch of questions. So that kind of interactions, what I'm calling iterative prompt development or multi-shot prompt development, is the way to get answers. I strongly believe that there isn't definitely an issue with hallucination, that models gives you sometimes wrong answer. But I always try to argue maybe it's giving you wrong answer, maybe because you're not asking the right question. So that's why prompt engineering is a very important skill.
Oh wow, wow, this is very interesting. So I don't know, does any other person have another take that home? You know, if you're not getting the right answer, you're not asking the right questions. It's all right, guys. So
Yeah, I love you guys to try this example challenge. I was, yeah, play with it. This would be a good way for us, for you to definitely get some street cred, maybe make some money. Most importantly, learn about the skill.
yeah, so I'm also going to drop the link to the challenge on Discord, and then so you can just sign up on Tublian and then try to win some money. Can I participate anyways?
No, you cannot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
prompt engineering is a thing.
yeah, prompt engineering is
It's
definitely.
your superpower. It's going to make you faster and better. Why not use it? So there is one more thing I want to say before we kind of head out here. There are lots of pushback in many places. Oh, you're not allowed to use GPT. You're not allowed to use GPT, which I uh, dislike because when somebody gives you a problem, does that person ask you that, have you used internet to solve that problem? They didn't. They don't. You assume that you probably have looked up information to solve this problem. So GPT is going to be, if somebody's asking you, have you used GPT to solve the problem? That question is going to sound very stupid in few years, because you should be using GPT. This is the most powerful tool in the world. Why would you not be using this powerful tool to solve your problem? So embrace it, use it day to day if possible. It will make you better and faster, no doubt about it.
Yeah, GPT will make you better and faster. All right. So in the absence of no quest of any other question, yeah, is a tool like calculator. I'm going to share an important meme on Discord. So if you're on Discord, you're going to see the meme I want to share. I'm already on my phone trying to get the picture. All right. So guys, thank you very much. Just a few important announcements. Our next masterclass will be coming up on um, probably second or third week of September. The date will be out very soon. If you register for any of our classes, you're going to get a mail about it, and then if you're on Discord, also you're going to get a mail about it. Also, we have this very interesting Friday conversations that always happen. We call it Tublian Community Call. Very interesting conversations to happen on that call, and it must not be about work or code. Sometimes we just come to just about football. So yeah, if you're on Discord, you can be part of our community call, and then you can also ask questions about your career. If you're looking for a job, we have the job copilot too. You can also ask questions. We have a lot of professionals, on the call, and then also in the community. So we could make good use of the community. Ask questions. We have people there that will be able to answer you. You're having a bug, copy the code and paste it there. Someone can help you prompt ChatGPT to get the answer, you know. So yeah, these are the important things happening. So we have this challenge that Nilanjan just mentioned. It will be important if you can, participate and try to win some money. All right. So I think that is all for now. So Friday by I think it's 6 p.m. Nigerian time, but I'm also going to set up the call so you can just click so that the Discord will remind you once it's time for the community call. It's important that you guys come ask questions on the WhatsApp group, on the Discord channel. Also, check out our we're also looking for people to help us, use the product and then give us feedback. So if you